Picture this, your workplace. It's plagued by gossip, blame, cliques, and guess what? Jealousy. It feels less like a professional environment and more like a set on a soap opera. And if that sounds familiar, I have a reality check for you today. And this is the fast track to failure. Talented people won't waste their careers in environments that are drowning in such poisonous ideas. Not in 2025.
Voices of Victory Podcast Show. Voices of Victory Podcast Show.
It is now time for the Voices of Victory Podcast Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
Today, I'm going to guide you through 8 pillars that will transform your workplace culture into one that fosters performance, fosters loyalty, fosters purpose. So grab your notebook because this is the foundation for success. Over the years, I've worked in a spectrum of workplaces, and some that are functional and others utterly dysfunctional, both remote and, of course, on-site. And I've seen firsthand how a culture can make or break not just the morale of a team, but the very survival of a business. Now, what separates thriving workplaces from poisonous ones isn't luck, it isn't location, and it isn't even resources. It's actually the culture. It is indeed the culture, the systems, the values, the way people communicate and collaborate. All of this shapes whether your organization excels or crumbles into the ocean. Building a workplace of excellence requires intention. It's not just about being the loudest, obnoxious leader in the room or demanding results with browbeating without giving people the tools of actually what they need to succeed. It's about creating an ecosystem where every individual has a role, every individual has a voice, and a reason to believe in your mission. Let me take you today through the 8 pillars that will elevate your workplace. It will elevate your workplace culture and, of course, ignite excellence within your team. The first pillar is really straightforward. We're going to take a hard look into responsibility. Responsibility over results. High performance begins with responsibility. This isn't about pointing fingers, instilling fear, or browbeating. It's about empowering individuals to their own actions and to their own contributions. You have to connect them to the big why, because that is going to help them go deeper. And responsibility creates clarity. It also creates a shared understanding that each person's work actually matters. It's not about micromanaging, because micromanaging is all about control. It's about setting clear expectations and providing the tools to actually meet them. Now, the second pillar is to understand the value of connection. It's actually connection over compliance. People don't just work for a paycheck. They work for meaning. And if you want your team to go the extra mile, they need to feel connected to each other and the purpose of the organization. Now, the overall organization's why, the mission of the company, the values of the company should be baked into the hiring process. It should be baked into it. And it's all about building a culture of connection. It isn't just, quote unquote, a soft skill. Because quite honestly, culture is the backbone of engagement. It's the backbone of the organization. It is the gasoline that keeps the machine running. So creating spaces for dialogue is important. It's going to allow you to invest in building trust. And remember, your people are really more than their job titles. They're actually human beings. And that leads us over to the next pillar. When we take a look at growth, some people have to consider the idea of growth over comfort stagnation. Comfort stagnation is the enemy of progress. If you're not fostering growth, you're enabling mediocrity, and you're also letting people fester into their comfortability. There's got to be some way to move the needle towards growth, because growth comes from investing in skill development, investing in mentorship programs, investing in career experiences, cross-department career experiences, and creating opportunities for people to step into new challenges. Growth isn't easy, it never is, but it is indeed essential and, of course, rewarding. A workplace that prioritizes growth is one where people actually stay. They stay, they thrive, and they achieve more than they ever thought was possible. Now, the next pillar is all about clarity. We have to take a hard look at clarity, and that would be clarity over chaos. How often do you leave a meeting without a clear sense of direction? Decision making is the heart of clarity, and without it, you're left with an endless discussion that leads nowhere. It kind of is the meeting that everybody looks at each other and say, did we actually land the plane today? I don't think we really got to the finish line of understanding. Effective workplaces are decisive workplaces. So we have to set clear goals. We have to align the team. And most importantly, we got to take action. And that takes us over to trust. Pillar number 5 is trust. We have to create an environment of trust. Trust over tension. Because a workplace without trust is a house of cards waiting to fall. Trust is built to honesty, consistency, and the willingness to actually listen. It's the courage to say, listen, we're in this together. We're an entire team. We're all going to help you and you're going to help us. We're going to work together. And the discipline to be able to back that up with action. Without trust, you'll never achieve a culture of excellence. You will see that bonds will be broken, and that will cause collateral damage. The reality of workplace culture is that when you've worked in several environments where I have, you noticed these pillars were either respected or disrespected in some way, shape, or form. And I've been in places where they were completely ignored, and in the latter, the air was thick with distrust and ego sometimes. And sometimes you were able to see that. You're working in these organizations. And at those times, I was recognizing things from a non-leader perspective. And sometimes a non-leader perspective gives you the upper hand to really understand the quality of leadership. In some of these workplaces, it's like progress was an afterthought. But if we look at a workplace where principles were actually embraced, the energy in the room was really transformative. The difference at the end of the day, though, was leadership. Leadership that understood the power of culture. They understood the power of it, and they had the courage to express it and the courage to invest in it. If leadership doesn't believe in their culture, no one else will. It's really quite simple. Now, these aren't just abstract ideas. They're tangible and actionable. Now, I want to give you some key insights, and we're going to go right into pillar number 6. It's all about empowerment. We want to approach it from empowerment over control. The great leaders empower their teams. They give people the space to make decisions, to solve problems, and to take ownership of their roles. Empowerment isn't just about stepping back completely, though. It's about guiding with an intention, reminding them of the mission of the organization, reminding them of the values of the organization. And while trusting your team to rise to that challenge, that's going to be something that's expected. Now, pillar 7 is vision. And this is the hugest one of them all. Most people can't see beyond their own nose unless they have an imagination. That's a little quote for you. Vision over vagueness. If people don't know where they're headed, if they don't know the vision, they'll wander aimlessly. And guess what? A compelling vision unites, motivates, brings people together, and inspires action. So be relentless in communicating your vision. And of course, aligning your team around that vision. A workplace without vision is like a ship lost right at sea and ready to go under. Now, the pillar 8 is important because it's all about being a leader that's expressive and expression over fear. That's the final pillar, is expression. Your team needs to feel safe to share ideas, to challenge norms, to express themselves, to innovate without fear of reprimand. And people don't like that because they feel that if people voice too much, that they lose their managerial control. And I can tell you that is the furthest thing from the truth. The moment fear takes hold, creativity dies, solutions die, innovation dies. So we have to encourage open dialogue, celebrate bold thinking, help people step forward and use their voice, and let people know that their voices actually matter. It's so important. Now, here comes the big avalanche. These 8 pillars, they don't just apply to your team. They start with you as well. Because as a leader, you set the tone. If you don't have a mission for the organization and you don't believe in your mission, no one else is going to believe in it. It's quite simple. If you're not modeling responsibility, if you're not modeling connection, if you're not modeling growth, you can't expect your team to follow suit. If you're not modeling the vision yourself or the mission or the values, then they're not going to do it. So excellence isn't achieved through words alone. It's lived through action. You don't build a culture by telling people what to do. You build a culture by embodying the values that you wish to see and expressing what those values are on a day-to-day basis. And everyone has to embody them, and that starts with the top. So here's the question. This is the question I have for you. Think of this as your little homework for this episode. Which of these pillars are you already building? And which of them actually need more attention? Take a moment. Write them down. Reflect on it. Share the thoughts with your team. Even better, maybe start a conversation about it. Figure out how you can bring these pillars to life. Excellence isn't an oversight. Excellence is an ongoing progress with achievement. It's a daily practice. It's a commitment to growth, a commitment to alignment, and it starts with you. So what I want to say in final is the culture you create is the legacy you leave. Whether your organization rises to excellence or crumbles right into the ocean under dysfunction, that's entirely up to you. These pillars aren't just ideas, they're a blueprint, a cultural blueprint for your transformation. Have a great day and see you in the next video.